Well, we know a little bit about the 28-year-old graduate student Bryan Kohberger, arrested today on 4 counts of first-degree murder. And we are also learning more about how long he was in the sights of authorities. Sources tell me tonight they were tracking him when he was driving, and he drove from Idaho to his parents' home in Pennsylvania, arriving there in Pennsylvania around Christmas. But there is still much we do not know about his background, his relationship with the 4 people he is accused of murdering, if there even was a relationship, and the events that led to their deaths. CNN's Camila Bernal has more on what we know.
A call to the public. Authorities in need of any information regarding Bryan Kohberger.
We still ask is for people to continually send us things in the tip line.
His DNA and white Hyundai Elantra linking him to the case, according to 2 law enforcement sources briefed on the investigation. But more evidence is needed for a successful prosecution.
We are still looking for more information. We're still trying to build that picture, just like we have stated all along. We're putting all the pieces together, and that will help.
Bryan Kohberger.
The 28-year-old graduated in May from DeSales University in Pennsylvania with a master's in criminal justice.
It's someone who has been delving into the innermost sanctums of criminal thinking, who is now accused of a particularly horrific crime.
In Reddit post, removed after the arrest was made public, a student investigator named Bryan Kohberger sought participation in a research project associated with a DeSales University study. It was to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. The post said the study sought to understand the story behind your most recent criminal offense with an emphasis on your thoughts and feelings throughout your experience. Most recently, he was a graduate student at Washington State University's Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology.
I am not at all surprised, although really disheartened, to find out that this suspect is a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University. From the outset, we had to understand that this was an organized killer.
He was studying and living in Pullman, Washington, just a few miles from the crime scene. Police searched his university residence Friday morning.
This is a smart guy who's obsessed with crime.
He was arrested early Friday morning, giving law enforcement a clear focus for their investigation.
This is not an ending, but rather a new beginning.
Camila Bernal joins us now. So Camila, Washington State University also released a statement tonight. What did they say?
Well, Pam, the chancellor of the university saying they are shaken, that the entire region is shaken by this crime, saying they will long feel the loss for these students, and added that she hopes this will be the beginning of a healing process. Now, in terms of the investigation, the university confirming that they helped, in terms of the university police, execute the search warrant. There were 2 of them, one to his apartment, the other to his office. They were both on campus, so the university saying that they will continue to assist law enforcement in any way possible. And then finally, Pam, confirming that just this month, the suspect finished his first semester. He was a PhD student in the criminal justice program. And again, he finished that semester just this month, Pam.
Camila Bernal, thank you so much. So interesting. I'm joined now by Mary Ellen O'Toole, a retired FBI special agent and profiler who has worked on many high-profile investigations, including those involving Elizabeth Smart and Natalie Holloway. Mary Ellen, as we reported, the suspect in custody has a master's degree in criminal justice. You just heard there from Camila, he finished a semester. He was studying for his PhD. I wonder, is it unusual for someone accused of a crime like this to have an educational background in criminality? What do you make of that?
Well, it's an interesting question, but it's not unheard of. So we had Ted Bundy, who had a background in psychology. His degree, bachelor's degree, was psychology. We had BTK, bind, torture, kill, serial murder. His background, his academic background, was in also in criminology. So that's not unusual that they will go to college and they may even do well and study in an area that they find of interest. The Unabomber was a PhD in mathematics. So we don't want to make too much of it until we learn more information about this individual and how he was using his academic training, academic knowledge, and was he using that to help plan these cases, these crimes. So I think there's a lot that we have to know before we can really understand where this knowledge, where this academic expertise comes into play.
Right. And again, he is still the suspect, innocent until proven guilty in this country. But certainly police believe that this is their guy. This is who they've been searching for. This is their suspect. And we also learned that a person named Bryan Kohberger had wanted to participate in a study at his university to, quote, understand how emotions and psychological traits that influence decision making when committing a crime, unquote. If that is the same Bryan Kohberger, does that tell you anything?
If it's the same person, it certainly would be very interesting because it would suggest that this suspect was really drawn to that kind of a topic, that kind of study, was interested in really trying to understand how murders are committed and what's going on in people's heads. So that would certainly give the investigators and someone like me, a profiler, more information about perhaps how well planned this crime was. What else went into the planning? How long was it in the planning? So when you're interviewing someone, you've really got to do your homework of a suspect. You have to understand more about them than what they're going to tell you. So if there is this kind of planning through academics and through research, if you know about it ahead of time, if they simply say, I just don't know why I did it, I just chose that house, I went in there and I did it, you're going to know based on your knowledge and your own homework that that's simply not the case.
In the other cases you mentioned, is it typical that the person is already has those tendencies, are already interested in committing a crime, had already been having, imagining it, and then they go on and study it? Or could it be that someone goes and studies it and then suddenly they're just really interested in it and then they're like, they want to put it to use?
No, it's really the former. It's an interest is there and they pursue that academic interest, but their personality is such. Personality is really involves someone that is in many cases very cold-blooded, very predatory in their actions without empathy for another human being. So the academics don't determine the crime. It's the academics are an addition to the interest that the offender already has in that kind of behavior.